Hello and welcome to another episode of the Three Techs. I'm your host, Tony Tang, and joining me tonight are the other two techs, Bob Fairbairn. Hey, Bob.
Good evening.
And Stephen Bramson. Hey, Stephen.
Hi there.
Tonight's show is all about our favorite tech from 2021. So this is tech that we started using in 2021, not necessarily tech that came out in 2021, but just things that we found interesting over the last year. Bob, let's start out with some low tech.
So this is the most low-tech thing that I've been using. So this is, they call it 80-20 rail. It's different sizes. This happens to be 20 by 20 millimeters. And so it's structural rail with a slot in it for T-slots for building things. So I've built about 5 or 6 things with it. And one of them right now is the complete rack that's on my desk that holds the computer monitor and the camera and the lighting and everything, and it sits on a desk, and it's made out of a larger scale of this, but it made a huge difference in making this system just work on my desk really well. Another example is the 3D printer I use is made out of this stuff. Now, I didn't make the 3D printer. I got that as a kit, basically. So I've used this a lot in my audio work. I've built a couple of racks for this for some raw audio equipment, and it's just made my life a lot easier to build something solid and structurally sound. Makes it easy to adapt and change, and I keep reminding myself that I need to have my bandsaw straightened out a little bit because I can't get these 90-degree angles right every time.
So what kind of price is that, let's say, for a 6-foot piece?
You know, I can look real quick, but it varies.
Or how much for a 1-foot piece?
$10.
Okay.
They come in metric links typically, so I buy a pack of 400 millimeter, 500 millimeter for like $18, I think something like that. And then you get a bunch of screws and then the T-slots stuff, and you can just go crazy and design it. And then there's a couple of companies that will build stuff for you too. Give them a drawing and they'll build it for you. I think Tony's experienced that.
I have. Actually, this year I built some stuff out of this 80-20 aluminum that you're talking about, and I needed it to basically be able to support about 1,000 pounds. And so, yeah, this stuff is super strong. It's also super lightweight, and it's pretty easy to work with if you're okay with drilling and cutting.
Why is it called 80-20?
There's a brand called 80-20, and they make some of this extruded aluminum, but there are other companies that make very similar or the exact same form factors and sizes. So, but 80-20 is probably one of the better known brands.
And one of the sizes is 80 millimeters by 20 millimeters. So it comes, it's mostly in metric.
Okay.
So, right.
And yet you cope. I'm impressed.
No. I'm trying to move to metric more and more because it's easier math.
It is easier than those fractions.
I hate fractions.
I think imperial is underrated.
Yeah. Actually, I think mine is imperial. So it's actually 1530 is basically the material I'm working with. And so the 15 stands for 1.5 inches. And the 30 stands for 3.0 inches.
Okay.
So
interesting.
Yeah. But they do make imperial and metric sizes.
Okay, so they cater to both tastes.
They do. Yeah.
Yeah.
What else, Bob?
I have changed all of my summer normal working equipment, outdoor stuff, to lithium battery powered equipment. Lawnmower, weed whacker, chainsaw, everything. Oh man, what a difference. And they all use the same battery, and I'll hide the brand, right? It doesn't really matter. Pick the brand you want. I picked a brand. What a difference in everything working whenever you want it to, and reduced maintenance and all of that. It's absolutely been wonderful. So the lithium battery technology for outdoor power tools now, I'm amazed. I've had nothing but good stuff to say about everything I've done. So that has been a real boon to everything I do outside in the garden and in the yard, etc. Really makes a big difference.
So for the lawnmower, does it use multiple of those packs?
As the amperage goes up, they actually get taller. So in the lawnmower, there are two, this is a 5 amp hour, there's two 6.5 amp hour batteries, but it only uses one at a time, and it has a switch thing that you pull out and flip to switch between two batteries.
And how long can it run for?
I mow 2 lawns every week, okay, that I need to, because my in-laws live next door, and I take care of their yard. And so I can mow 2 lawns, and I can typically do it on 2.5 batteries. So that's 2 standard suburban lawns. I can typically 2.5, sometimes 3, depending upon if the grass is wet or if it's extra long, or I'm behind or something like that. And you have to keep the blade sharpened a little bit more. Really been very pleased by this, and I'm seeing more and more in the neighborhood people starting to buy this kind of stuff. So I think it's good. I think it's appropriately for the environment. Now, I'm not using as much gasoline. It makes it easier, less trips, less maintenance. I like it.
Yeah, we have an electric snow thrower, but it's on a big cable.
Again,
it's mains powered.
That's good. That's good. If it does its thing for you, that's good.
Yeah, it's less maintenance.
Yeah, I'd say the electric one doesn't cope with heavy snow.
There's a significant difference in the way an electric chainsaw works versus a gasoline chainsaw. The electric chainsaw has got more torque, where the gas chainsaw has more RPM. So it feels different when you're using it. So there are differences there. And I got introduced to this by an arborist who uses a little 10-inch electric chainsaw when he's doing stuff in the trees. And he puts 4 batteries on his belt and goes up. He goes, this is a miracle for his work. It makes his work a lot easier, and it's a lot less noise. It's been a good tool for me, all of it.
Yeah. Cool. What else?
Let's go to real technology, or high tech, I guess.
Okay.
So this is a Raspberry Pi 4. Now, of course, the Raspberry Pi 4 has been around longer than this year, but I have been using Raspberry Pi 4s for so much computing stuff over this year, and I've learned so much. It's improved my knowledge of Linux and improved my ability to do my job in some ways, but it's reduced the power consumption in the house. It makes things so much easier. So I have 3 of these in the stereo system doing audio work. I have one which is my network attached storage. I have one which is currently running separately. It's actually a Pi 3 running some filtering on the network, and I'll actually move that software onto one of the Raspberry Pi 4s onto the NAS. There's another one which runs my 3D printer. It's been absolutely fascinating how easy it is to make this work, and then to learn and change operating systems. You drop in a micro SD card and you boot it up and you go. It's wireless and Wi-Fi and wired networking. They did a marvelous job with that, and you get the little micro SDs up to 256 gig or whatever. This has really been nice. It's been a wonderful set of tools.
And they're like $50 or $60 for that?
Yeah,
module?
the 4 gig one is like $55, I think, and the 8 gig one is $75. Really hard to come by right now. Parts shortages and stuff have hurt them a lot. And they're not the only ones. They're starting to show up a little bit more. But for a general purpose computer that can do just about anything, a normal person needs to do, it's pretty amazing. Now, I've got another one over here, which we can talk about in a minute. But that's the Raspberry Pi 4 has been a real boon to my learning and my ability to run computing stuff in the house without going crazy.
Is it pretty easy for somebody to learn and pick up? Or do you have to type a lot in a command prompt or terminal style interface?
No and yes, you can do both. So that brings me to the other one here. So this is a Raspberry Pi 4. They call this the Pi 400. So it's a keyboard with the Raspberry Pi built in. Comes with Raspbian OS, which is a Debian clone, or a Debian variant. The micro SD cards right there, 2 HDMIs, a couple of USB 3s, and Ethernet and Wi-Fi. And it's a complete desktop computer. You hook it up to a monitor, plug it into power, and you're up and running. You can do most normal things you do on the internet or at home. So word processing, spreadsheets, stuff like that, the open source software. The SD card they ship with is a little small. It's only 16 gigs, so you might want to get a bigger one. The operating system's clean. It keeps itself reasonably up to date. For instance, the Raspberry Pi 4 was 2019, 2020, I can't remember. And they will continue to build this computer through 2026. That's the Raspberry Pi Foundation. So this thing's has legs on it. They have done, I think, a marvelous job in updating and maintaining the operating system and giving you a lot of tools that you can use. I'm very pleased with this, and it's improved my, all the way around, this whole computing infrastructure has improved my knowledge and my ability. And I would not hesitate to say, if somebody needs just a really basic computer and you got a spare HDMI monitor laying around for $100, you get the whole kit and a book. And, okay, they're trying to teach you to program maybe to a certain extent, but you don't need to. And you don't need to go crazy with command line or anything. It just works. So, that's not bad.
Pretty nice.
That's kind of where my focus has been: smaller, lightweight computing, doing things simpler and easier, and having a lot of fun with computers.
It's good stuff. How about you, Stephen? What's your favorite tech from 2021?
Okay, so my first two things are just really small and cheap and simple. So it's a clock.
It's a clock.
But
I did say 2021, Steve.
Yeah, that's true. But so this is radio controlled. I've had these before. This is a newer one that I bought this year.
So what's so special about that?
So there's a place in Colorado that sends out time sync signals, and so this clock just automatically syncs to that signal. So basically you put the battery in, you set the time zone, and then you just leave it, and within a day it's got the exact time, and it's the exact time. And when the clocks go forward or the clocks go back, I do exactly nothing to adjust
so for
the clock.
daylight savings, you don't have to do anything?
Yep, it just adjusts itself. And I like it. I prefer an analog clock. I have it above my desk. I like the sweeping second hand if I need to time something. I'm fortunate. I work in the basement, and it's high up on the wall in the basement, and it still manages to sync. So I don't have to move it to another room to sync it. And it's $20. Okay, and then item number 2 is it's a magnifying glass, but it's got lights.
It's a ring light.
So it's got
a ring light.
It's
All
got
right.
LEDs. So the switch is simple and positive, and there's just 2 AA batteries.
So is that for macro photography, or what is that for, Steve?
No, it's just because I'm getting old and it's tough to read small print. So, I challenge anyone to take a laptop and flip it over and just read anything on the back of the laptop. It's just too small to read, and this thing will just come to the rescue. And it's $15, so you can have them in different rooms.
You challenge anyone above a certain age, or?
Oh no, anyone.
Okay.
Anyone to flip over a laptop and read the text.
I'm tempted to push the button on that one, because finding a decent magnifier, number one, is hard. And now that to have one that's lit like that, it's physically big, but boy, that'd be a good thing to have in a kitchen drawer, I think.
Yeah, it is. It is sort of big and heavy. It's, I don't know, at least half a pound. It does the job. I had a different one, and it just had 2 LEDs in the handle, and the lighting wasn't good enough. And
okay.
This is so much better. Can't argue with that. My third item is a bit big to put up in front of the camera, so it's just a monitor, in fact. So it's a Dell monitor. It's a 24-inch monitor, but a 2021 model. Apparently, at the time we're recording, which is at the end of 2021, so now monitors are really quite hard to buy. This one was okay. I bought it near the beginning of the year. It was $300. So I was very careful about the size and resolution. For both personal and work, I have a laptop with a 17-inch screen that's just standard HD, so 1920 by 1080. And this is a 24-inch screen that's 2560 by 1440. So it's double the sort of poor man's HD, which is 1280 by 720. So it's double that, 2560 by 1440. So the key thing that it does for me is I do write code, and when I'm writing code, it's just useful to see more code on the screen. So this monitor, in each direction, it's a third more, so a third wider and a third taller. And if you multiply 1.33, if you square it up, so it's about 75% more area. So I see 75% more code on the screen, and for $300 couldn't really go wrong. And it's really good. I like it a lot. Very glad I bought it.
Stephen, do you use that in portrait or in landscape?
In landscape.
Do portrait? In landscape, okay.
Okay, Tony, it's your turn.
It's my turn? Okay. Towards the end of this year, I got some new tech. I got a new robot with a camera on the end. I have been playing around with it a bit and was shooting our coffee mug with the logo on it, and this is what I got. So as you can see, that's real time right there. It's not sped up or anything, so it's a pretty fast-moving robot. I have a little behind the scenes of it too, so this is it actually shooting that movement of the mug. And you can see that there's the red Gemini there. That's a 5K camera. It's got the Sigma 18 to 35 T 2.0 lens. So that is the Cine version of the lens, which basically means that they rehoused it and it has the gearing for the motors.
Gear.
Okay.
Right? That also comes with some software that allows you to control the motion of the robot and keyframe everything, set up orbit moves. It controls the focus, iris, and zoom and everything. You can even set up external triggers as well. Pretty sophisticated piece of tech, but I think we'll be seeing more of it as we go here on this channel. So,
well, if you ever need an extra computer to control it, I know where you can get a good one.
Right. Raspberry Pi.
Yeah. Pretty cool for product shots.
I'm pretty happy with the results of it.
And that's why you needed the 80-20 or the 15-30, because you have to make a stand for that thing, I bet. Yeah.
Right. So this robot, the arm itself weighs about 130 pounds, I want to say. The camera probably adds another 10 to 12 pounds, maybe, with the lens and the motors and everything. So, but then there's a lot of weights. So I ordered some plate weights for the bottom of it, and I have, I think, about 500 or 600 pounds of weights sitting in the base of that on that 80-20 aluminum.
Okay.
So it needs to be pretty strong to hold all that weight, of course, and very rigid, so it doesn't flex and shake when the robot moves, because it does move quite fast.
Yeah, we watching that video. The arm moves out really quickly. What's it like to program it?
Fairly easy, actually. So there is some software with a 3D visualization of the robot, and you can manipulate the robot using that software in 3D space.
Oh, okay.
But the other way to do it is using one of these, which is a PlayStation 5 controller.
Okay.
So you can actually flip it into live mode, and you can make it go up, down, you can make it roll, you can push in, push out, cool. Pan, tilt, and then you can just hit a button to set a keyframe within the software, and then move it to the next position and set another keyframe. So it's pretty easy. It doesn't take too long to program a simple move, but more complex moves will take a little bit more time, but yeah, it's fairly straightforward. The other cool thing is that with the LiDAR scanning capabilities in smartphones, I can use an app like Scaniverse and scan the 3D environment of the robot And so I could scan the set and then import that into the 3D software. So I can actually see the set and visualize it. And I can know that, oh, my object, my mug, is in this position in relation to the robot in 3D space in the software.
Okay.
So that makes it pretty easy to do that. And it's very easy to do a 3D scan with your smartphone and export it as a 3D object and import it into the software.
I've been meaning to try that, make a model, and actually print something from it.
Yeah.
I'd like to play with that. That's the 3D printing has been very interesting. Can't even say I've scratched the surface of what I can do with that. But yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing what you can do with the technology now in 3D.
Yeah.
So, Bob and Stephen, thanks for sharing your favorite tech. Please subscribe and like if you enjoyed this, or let us know what you'd like to see more of. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on The 3 Techs.